Greetings, greenhouse people. We are back with another episode of Tech on Demand, where our goal is to help you grow your best crops ever. I'm your host, Bill Calkins, and throughout 2026, probably beyond, I'm going to catch up with different people in the horticulture space, find out a little bit about their careers, passions, journeys in the world of plants, and much more. Calling these conversations Pick 4 because I sent each guest a list of 12 questions, and they picked 4 to answer and discuss. Today, I'm joined by my friend Susie Raker, Vice President at Raker-Roberta's Young Plants in Litchfield, Michigan. Susie is, and has been for years, one of the most visible people in the professional horticulture industry, and I feel like her style of innovation, leadership, and industry advocacy is kind of baked into the Raker DNA. But Susie, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, listeners. Happy to be here.
So, like I said, as long as I've been in the industry, Raker's been an industry leader in a lot of different ways. And Susie, I was thinking this morning while I was swimming that the first time I ever visited your greenhouse was somewhere between 2002 and 2004. And I was there to write an article about innovation. That was like the topic. And I forget, I don't even, it was for a supplement, something, but I was there to interview Jerry, and I think the topic was Ellipots. Like, you guys had just started manufacturing Ellipots on site. And I did Google and search for this article, and I was probably like before the internet, it's not even out there. And so what, were you there? Like, what were you doing? And I think it was like 02, 03.
Raker,
what were you up to?
I can say, Raker, I was in college still.
Okay.
I graduated with my undergrad in 2003. So I wasn't around at that time.
Okay.
Was working very hard and having the best time of my life at Michigan State.
Heck yeah.
But innovation and Raker has always gone hand in hand. I guess it is part of our DNA. You know, when Raker was founded, we were actually vegetable farmers. A flower seed salesman drove by our farm, and we had some Quonset huts, and we were growing our own vegetable transplants for the field in styrofoam, in the we've all seen the styrofoam plug trays that are reusable. Yeah. And he goes, think you could do this with some petunias, and gave us some petunia seed. And the next thing you know, this is in the late 70s, early 80s. So, and that was before I was born. I like to bring that up. But, really the company was born on innovation. We helped with a lot of other great people in this industry define what young plant production was. Right. And we've always tried hard to be ahead of the curve, or at least pushing ourselves to innovate in a way that affects our business in a good way. And
that's
innovation,
cool. And I would imagine
innovation is a lot of different things.
Right.
So,
and pushing yourselves does keep you ahead of the curve because it is you're challenging yourself to think smarter, obviously work harder, but just keep on that cutting edge. Mycorrhizal Applications is recognized as the master distributor of a portfolio of biological and botanical plant support solutions and the world's leading supplier of mycorrhizal soil inoculants. Backed by industry-leading research and advanced production, they deliver innovative products that support plant health, performance, and vigor. They're known across the industry for popular brands like MycoApply, AmiloShield, and Debug. Mycorrhizal Applications offers proven solutions tailored to every growing operation. To learn more or find a distributor, visit mycorrhiza.com.
It's funny that you say that, because, the current career path I'm on, I've always I'd gotten to a point, young plants, it got to the point with that where I was getting a little burnt out, to be completely honest with you. We grow millions and millions and millions of young plants a year, but it's become a commoditized market. And I get really sick sometimes of arguing to get an order over a tenth of a cent. Like, it just gets old. But I woke up and I figured out some things that would help breathe a little bit of life back into myself personally. And by doing that, it breathes life back into the company. So it's been, it's innovative thinking, it's innovative processes, it's innovative products. Innovation isn't just, it's not easily defined. How's that?
No, that's very true. And I think recognizing that you were either burning out or not as excited about things as you were, and then taking charge of that and looking for some kind of new innovation, which we will get into, because I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, we could totally chat all day, but the goal here is to get to know you, and we've got questions to answer. So are you ready for some questions?
I'm ready. Let's rock and roll.
All right, I'm gonna throw a curveball here, because before we get started, I do want to hear a little bit about Raker-Roberta's, because it's been It's got to have been
10
10
years.
years since
It's
that
been 10
company
years.
formed.
Yes,
Okay.
it has been 10 years. And it's been 8, actually.
Okay.
It was December of 2018 is when we joined forces with Roberta's Unique Gardens, which is a very unique, innovative company in themselves based in Indiana. They are a strictly direct-to-consumer brand that sells almost solely on QVC, and that in
Right.
itself, mind blown, like just
Yeah.
the way that that market works. And so that's helped us a lot at Raker, actually, because it helped to expand our e-commerce and some of our capabilities. So
Well,
it's been a great partnership.
and exposed you like very directly to what consumers are looking for, which I think we know our industry, we always think we know, but
Yeah.
we tend to be a little bit too distant from that market a lot of times. And I think we miss the mark.
Well, and it's shown how different platforms need different plants. That's what it really showed me. So like selling on TV is interesting because it's a very specific target market consumer. And then you're talking about a plant for 3 to 5 minutes. Well, that's not as easy as it sounds. And so
Yeah.
the plants that are promoted and pushed on there, they have to perform well, but they also have to have a really good story because, to talk about a red impatient for 3 to 5 minutes is pretty hard. We all know that
That's
in
for
the
sure.
industry. And so, that's really a great platform for innovative, different, unique products.
Yeah. Well, and then there was that I think that the whole merging of Rakers and Robertas was huge, obviously, for your business. And then obviously now you're representing one of the probably the coolest innovation in our industry, glow in the dark petunias. So that leads me to a question. And
Okay.
I think you've touched on it a little bit, but you grew up in a family that had a major greenhouse business. So in your life, was there ever a time when you were like, forget this, I am not working in the industry? Or were you always planning to do what Rakers
Oh,
seem to do, which is grow a boatload of little high quality plants in Michigan?
no, that I honestly, I shouldn't say this because, but I'm gonna because it's who I am.
Hmm.
I live my life without a plan. That being said, I've lived my first 44 years without a plan. How's that?
Yeah.
I always had some ideas. I've always been involved in leadership. I've always been driven. I've always worked hard, but I kind of wanted to make my own way, make my own name. But I have a degree in horticulture, worked in places across this country. My dad called me and he's like, I'm retiring. Are you ever going to come home? And I'm like, well, it wasn't really my plan, Dad, but we had never, I mean, families, we didn't talk about that. It was
Yeah.
just assumed. And at that time, I was coming to a point with where I was working that I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's go home. So I went home and still didn't have a plan and kind of learned a lot about the family business, how it really worked, what it really meant to be Raker and all
Hmm.
of those things. But it has been, I'm always one of those people that is afraid that I am defined by my family's name because my family has a great name. And I don't want to be defined by that. I want to be defined because I'm Susie Raker. That's,
Yeah.
that's what I want. And so I always work really hard to be authentic and put my spin on things. And Raker has been a great platform for that. Now, Bill, you talked a little bit about me representing one of the coolest products that has hit our market in a long time. And that is giving me the opportunity to put my spin.
Mm.
This is Susie Raker's opportunity to leave something to this industry
Yeah.
without the legacy of Raker behind it. And I love my family. I love my
Right.
family name. I love everything we've done. I'm not dissing that. I just wanted to be able to do something myself. It was very important to me.
That's cool. And it's cool that you can balance both of those things, the understanding of family roots and appreciation for that with that need to do your own thing. I think
Yep.
that's super admirable and something that a lot of people in our industry should listen to and think about. So,
Well, and
no,
I'm
that's really
lucky.
really
I mean,
cool.
I'm lucky to be able to do both,
Mhm.
run both channels. And I couldn't be doing what I'm doing today without the Raker engine helping me either, though that's
Right.
the other thing. So they are very tied together. So,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I think a lot of people in our industry have that sort of engine of a family business. And, if they were able to step back and kind of dream big, could probably leverage that into unique individual opportunities as well. So, like I
well,
said, I think it's good. It's
I
good for
said I've
people to hear
lived
that.
my life without a plan, and I lived my life without a plan till about the age of 38, 39. And then over the last 4 or 5 years, like things have really started I'm putting a picture together. Now that picture is still pretty fuzzy. And it's, 100 yards down the road, but every day it comes into clearer and clearer view and the pieces start to get less fuzzy.
It's amazing how things change when you're about to turn 40.
Yeah.
We could do a whole
Well,
podcast on that.
45 in 25 days.
I turned 50 in June.
Calkins,
I'll give
man,
you
my
tips.
friend.
All right. Question 1. If you had a free hour, which I can't imagine you have many free hours now that we've been talking for 10 minutes. But anyways, if you had a free hour, what would we find you doing?
Yeah, you're right. I don't have very many free hours, but I am a very physically active person. So if I have a free hour, I am doing something active and usually something athletic. I'm either at the gym with my friends. I'm an avid CrossFitter and it is a passion of mine. I like to move, or, my group of friends from the gym, I'll give them a shout out. We have a club name. It's called Bus 15. That's a story for another time.
Oh, I bet.
But we try to plan a couple of crazy physical endurance things every year. Last year, we did a 20-mile hike in 6 hours. We have a Case Spartan race planned in July. So, training for that. I also I have a gym at my house. So I use that if I have an hour of free time. Or I have a small zoo. I really love animals. I live out in the middle of nowhere and I walk a lot. So that's what you would find me doing with an hour of free time. So just moving.
Awesome.
I like moving. It frees the mind. It gives me time to think in a different space. And, endorphins are real.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that kind of activity, I always say it makes me a better parent, makes me a better employee, makes me a better husband. If I do that, I'm just, yes, it might sound selfish to take that hour, but it pays off in so many ways.
It's funny. So I got married at 27, had a kid at 30, and then you get lost a little bit. You're trying to be a good mom. I'm trying to be a good wife. I'm trying to do all these things. Well, my marriage exploded. I still have a tremendous relationship with my ex-husband. So there's none of that. But then I finally had a little time I didn't have to be a perfect wife anymore. And so it freed up some time. And so I got back to my athletic roots and I felt guilty about it for a little bit. But then I came to the realization that if I didn't put time and effort into my health, first off, I couldn't preach to anybody about their health and how important it is to their well-being. And if I'm not healthy, I'm not good to anybody. I'm not good to my daughter. I'm not good to my family. And I'm not good to my teammates at Raker or at Rooted in Solutions. I don't use not having time as an excuse because it's just part of who I am now.
Amen.
I work out 90 minutes to 2 hours a day, and I wouldn't change that for the world.
I'm with you 100%. I love hearing that. Thank you for that authentic and raw response. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. If you won the lottery and could start a horticulture business from scratch, what would it be and what would it look like?
Well, you need to come back to me in about 5 years because although I did not win the lottery and I funded Rooted in Solutions primarily myself, I am doing that exactly. I am building the horticultural business that I would want to run. So Rooted in Solutions, still really defining who we are and what our identity is. But right now we represent Firefly Petunia, which is the world's first bioluminescent plant. And so we're really a marketing company, but because of my grower roots and my business partners in Rooted in Solutions are Casey Stanton. He's my production manager at Raker, and Jim Devereaux, who is the CEO of Greenfuse. And if anybody knows these people, we're having a good time.
Oh,
we're just a good time and crew. But we're a marketing company, but we also do product development, supply chain. And I think being where the three of us have come from in our horticultural career, we're doing it differently than it has traditionally been done. I don't just represent the Firefly Petunia, the light bio product line, but I'm also representing tomato purple empress, which is a genetically modified tomato that has more antioxidants than a blueberry. The niche is these super innovative products that deserve a different approach to coming to market. Taking a look at Firefly Petunia, most people think it'd be an easy home run to bring this thing to market. Oh, absolutely not. There's a lot of things. One of the easiest hurdles, it's not a hurdle. It's not an easy hurdle to get over, but one of the easiest hurdles to point out is that, by day it's a white petunia. By night, it glows in the dark. We don't shop for plants at dark. We don't shop for plants in the dark. So if I could sell them all in the dark, no problem. They'd walk out in truckloads, but we sell them during the day. And so merchandising and how do you tell the story and How do you create the solutions that a retailer needs to be successful with this product? So that's just one of the hurdles we're tackling at Rooted in Solutions. But then I never realized how much I love product development.
Hmm.
I am having so much fun, like figuring out where we want to go with this product line and then leveraging every relationship with every breeder I've ever met in my entire life to get there. And so it's just been a lot of fun. I would say my superpower in life is people. I'm good with them. I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I have no problem admitting that, but I can find the smartest person in the room, and they usually
Oh, yeah.
like to hang out with me. And so
Yep.
bringing this team together that we're working with and having that's what I'm enjoying doing. So, building this company, I never thought I'd be building a company like this right now, but I see the potential and I see that our industry desperately needs it because we are all craving something new and something different and something innovative. And so we'll see where it goes.
Wow. I think, yeah, that was such an awesome explanation of what I think the vision that it takes. And there's probably no way that you could have that kind of product development vision
Without my
without the
experience.
experience that you've had over the last 20 plus years of doing the work.
I've seen everything that's come out. I mean, I've been in this industry since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
I've seen thousands and thousands of new plant introductions. I've seen all the innovations. I've seen all these things. So I've seen how these companies roll them out. I've seen good ways. I've seen bad ways. I've tried to learn from that. I'm not afraid to make a mistake. Like,
Right.
whatever, that's how you learn anyway. I'm not afraid of failure either. So it's just learning from the past, applying it to the future, and figuring out where the heck we're. So
I think that's great.
we're having
Which
a
I
blast.
think it leads me right into the third question. And you've already given like volumes of good advice just in the first 15 minutes of our discussion. But moving on from that, or I guess expounding on that, what advice would you give to a young person considering the pursuit of a career in horticulture?
Well,
Maybe a 14-year-old?
maybe, oh, geez, oh, Pete. At this point, with my 14-year-old daughter, although she is showing an interest in agricultural in general, I'm going to let it see how it floats out. My influence, I am a huge influence in her life, I obviously. And she sees how hard I work and she listens to the meetings I take and she hears how I talk. So I know I'm influencing her. But her aspirations are her aspirations. And as long as she can support herself, I will support her. But
So
I
maybe
do.
maybe fast forward 4 or 5 years to a student in horticulture who's like, all right, I'm going to get a degree and I want to, I'm looking for a career in this industry that I've fallen in love with.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, I think the key to life in general is discipline and patience. And I would say for the first 10 or 15 years of my life, I had neither of those things. And I'm still working on that patience piece because I usually want it and I want it now. But discipline and patience you need to learn coming out of school, coming out of college, even coming out of high school. You don't know what you don't know. So be open to learning from the people that have set the pace, but also don't be afraid to question why. I ask why, or ask all the questions. I guess those are my words of wisdom for somebody pursuing a career in this industry. It is a great industry. I've worked in other industries. I've worked in parallel industries. I own a cannabis grow operation here in Michigan, and I hope nobody from that industry is listening. But at the end of the day, like the people in the ornamental horticulture space are the best people in the world. And they are not afraid to share all the accumulation of knowledge they've gained in their careers. So don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid. No question is stupid. Like I feel like I ask stupid questions all the time, but usually it leads to another question that leads to another question that leads to some profound like light bulb going off. And so, like I said, just be passionate about what you're doing, because if you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to want to do the very best job that you can, and never think that your idea is the only idea, because it never is. I always go in with a 50,000-foot view. And then as you start to get a little bit more tactical and into these things, that idea has to morph because of reality. Every grower is different. Every product is different. And every customer deserves that, I guess, white glove treatment, because their business is their business. So I guess those are kind of my words of wisdom. Be passionate, be disciplined, ask a ton of questions. Don't be afraid to look like an idiot. It's okay.
And those are all great pieces of advice. And it's funny, each one of those is a piece of advice that I've gotten from someone over the last 20 years of doing what I do. And I think that hearing them all sort of at the same time is
Well,
really important. Like literally, I had someone say to me once, like, just because we don't use your idea doesn't mean it was a good idea or wasn't a good
it's a good
idea. I was
idea.
like,
Right.
okay, that's kind of cool.
Well,
A lot of
I
people,
mean,
I mean, discipline is so critical and patience. I'm with you. Like, I still am figuring that out. Like,
well, and
maybe probably will never figure that out, but
be authentic. Like, here's the thing, like, you be who you are and don't be afraid of that and have self-awareness of who you are. Like,
yeah.
I know I'm pretty comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable in my skin.
Mhm.
I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at. I work at what I'm bad at to get better at it, but
Yeah.
you'll obviously lean into what you're good at. And so know who you are and then figure out how to make that work for you and where you want to go. But also always be authentic. Don't be fake. Oh, people drive me bonkers. Just be authentic.
It's
Like
hard to be fake. Like the amount of stress it
energy.
takes to be fake isn't worth it.
That's right. And so, like, just be authentic, like, be who you are because it takes all different kinds of people to make this world go round. And if we were all
Yeah.
the same, it would be very, very, very boring. That's actually, like I
Amen.
said, my superpower is people. And I really, really genuinely enjoy getting to know people and figuring out what their strong suits are. Because if I can figure out what their strong suits are, I can put them in positions to make them successful. And if they're
Yep.
successful, I'm successful. And so I think that's, I don't know, it's a little philosophical for 10 a.m. on a Friday morning, but,
Right?
but
No, it's
I
true.
truly believe that.
Yep. I'm
So
100% on board with that. Final question. What does the future of horticulture look like? It's probably glowing or purple, but what does the future of horticulture look like?
I'm going to step back from product on this one and I'm going to go back to
Cool.
people.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have a very clear picture of what the future of horticulture looks like right now. Our industry is in a very weird, trying time, in my opinion. And it's been happening over the last 10, 15, 20 years as, these greenhouse owners, nursery owners are getting ready to retire. There aren't enough people that are 40 to 50 with experience to take over these businesses. And so you're seeing a lot of consolidation, which means a lot more corporate, which is very not what our industry has been.
Right.
And so we have a really steep learning curve ahead of us as horticulture becomes much more corporate in the way it is run. That's probably been one of the most valuable lessons in my career. Raker, as a young plant supplier, we built our business focus on small to mid-sized growers because in the late 70s and early 80s, the industry was built on family businesses. We had over 8,000 ship-tos. Well, do you know how many ship-tos I have today? 5,000. So
Yeah.
that just shows you the shrink that has happened. And, now there's mega growers and I love working with them because,
Mhm.
we're shipping a lot of plants to one location. That makes it easy. But we're also still servicing a lot of these small moms and pops. My big
Yeah.
concern is there's no plan for these moms and pops to move their business somewhere. And so
Right.
I think that the industry, we will service the same that we have, but the overall size of the industry in terms of the number of businesses is going to continue to shrink, which is going to make it a lot more and
Mhm.
that's not bad. It just is what it is. It's the natural progression of an industry, and
Yeah.
we are very mature. So I don't know. That's kind of what I think the future of horticulture is. Right. I think plants are a part of humans' lives, and I think they always will be. How they buy them, the form they buy them in, and all that, that's questionable. We all know that e-commerce business is growing.
Right.
That is one of the stamps I put on Raker when I came back. My dad take on a pet project, take on something that you
Yep.
can make yours. And I started with a fundraiser program because it was right around 2008 recession. All I was hearing
Yep.
is these uh, bands and youth groups and athletic programs were having to cut because there just was no money. And I'm like, well, they're trying to fundraise. I would rather buy a plant than I would a wrapping paper or a chocolate bar. And so we
Yeah.
started a fundraiser program, and then that led into developing a direct to consumer e-commerce business. But, at Raker, like everything, we do it with a weird spin. We've always been really, really good at putting plants in boxes. Like we are good at
Yeah.
that. We ship them all over the country. And so we just took what we were good at and did it in a different way to be able to get those to a consumer. Now, Raker themselves, we don't market or sell any e-commerce products, but we fulfill for a lot of different brands. So instead
Okay.
of being the brand, we support the brand because that's just never been. We are a production engine. So once
Yeah.
again, leaning into our strengths, yada, yada, and tying that back to what does the future of horticulture look like? I think the way we bring product to market is going to change. I think brick and mortar will always be important for us, but I do think that e-commerce and or whatever is next on the horizon is going to continue to grow. Call it competition for brick and mortar or not, or call it an extra. That's how I
I say
prefer to
it's an
look at it.
opportunity, I
It's an
think.
opportunity. That's right.
And the
Anyway, that was
plants
long-winded.
products we sell in through that sort of avenue are going to be different, I think, than the products we've traditionally sold. I mean, the traditional products aren't going to go away, but it's going to open up a new sort of just a
Yeah.
new format
The
of the
internet is
plant. And
your
I'm
audience.
making a shape with my hands, which isn't going to translate well to an audio podcast. But yeah, I think that it's gonna take vision. It's gonna take a new approach to the type of products. I mean, there's still gonna be green plants with roots, like we know this.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be anything, maybe they'll glow, but they're gonna be green plants with roots, but they're gonna be sold in a different way.
Well, so I talked a little bit about one of the biggest hurdles that we're learning and moving forward with is how do you sell a white petunia at a brick and mortar store during the day when it is the
Yeah.
coolest thing you've seen at night? Well, a really good venue for doing that is online because online people take time to read the story. They take
Mm.
time to educate themselves. Whereas in
They
a
can watch a
store,
video showing it glow.
that's exactly right. Whereas in a store, that isn't there. And
Right.
so it also talks about our messaging as an industry. In-store messaging is a heck of a lot different than online messaging because you're
Mhm.
talking to a different type of consumer. So I don't know. I do think online platforms are just going to continue to grow for our industry. We are still continuing to figure out best product formats for getting the product there in one piece and in shape and affordably and all of those things. But it's not going away. I hardly
Right.
buy anything in a store anymore. I mean, I pick up my groceries or they get delivered to my house. And the way the world works is changing, and horticulture has to change with it.
Yep.
So
And we will. I think
yeah,
that we might go kicking and screaming into the change like we have in the past about change, but we will change. We will evolve. But it is going to take leaders like you and some of your peers across the industry to make this happen. And yeah, and some of these young people in our industry, hopefully they've gotten inspired by listening to you because they're the ones that are going to make this change. I mean,
yeah. Well,
it's like,
at
yeah,
the end of the day, like I said, tying it back to what advice I'd give, like this industry is ripe. It's ripe for somebody that wants to grow plants. Like that's not going to go away. It's ripe for somebody that wants to innovate because we desperately need innovation to keep
mm,
us competitive with electronics and the other items in the world that are taking the attention of our consumers.
yeah.
There's just a lot of opportunity. You just have to figure out what it is and how you're going to make it your own.
That's awesome. I think that's a great way to end this. And I knew this was going to be fun. We could totally talk all day.
Yes, we could.
And yeah, I mean, but it's early spring. There's work to do. You said you've been grinding it out on the
Oh,
road for months. It's nice to be home.
it's so
I
nice to be
agree.
home. So
The
nice.
weather today, at least here in the Midwest, is nice. It's going to be cold for Easter Sunday. I saw like 45 here in Cleveland, but
Yeah, I turned my furnace off and opened my windows today.
yeah, let's take it while we can.
Yeah, letting a little bit of that fresh air in. So
For sure. Well, Susie, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for all you do for the industry. Every time we talk, like I always learn something new, but I don't know that I ever get a chance to just thank you for
oh,
what you do and what you've done for years. You're always willing to take time to help the industry out as a philanthropy, but also because I know it's your passion.
it
So
is
thank
my
you very
well.
much.
I was gonna say it is my passion, and that's another thing. Like we're only as good as the future, so it's not a competition. Like
It's true.
I want to make this industry as strong as it can. So be involved in everything you can do. Do the advocacy. Learn about American Hort or your state organization. Get involved in that stuff because not only are you helping the industry, but the mentors that I have picked up through all of that leadership stuff is unbelievable. And
Yeah,
now in this new thing I'm trying to do, I'm able to leverage those relationships and all of that fun stuff. So don't forget to network.
it's all about the people. It's your
It's all about
superpower.
it is my superpower. So
It's awesome. It's awesome. Well,
awesome.
I think that wraps up this episode of Tech on Demand, but I can't close without reminding you to subscribe, like, share the podcast with your peers. There are almost 250 episodes in the archive covering a wide range of topics, something for everyone in horticulture, garden center retail, landscape, CEA, and more. But take care out there. Susie, thank you so much.